ChicagoMorningAnswer.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. We talked about this lawsuit that's been filed against one CPS teacher, reported by the Tribune earlier in the show. We talked about it. This teacher enlists a friend of hers, like outside muscle.
Yeah, apparently a distant relative.
And allegedly, the two of them drag a 9-year-old boy from the teacher's classroom into a bathroom and beat him with leather belts.
Yeah, they tried first to have him pulled on his pants, but he wouldn't. So then they just beat him regardless.
So this incident, it's a one-off at any big organization. These things are going to happen. You're going to have bad actors and bad apples. Well, of course, this is against the backdrop of the sex abuse scandal that the Tribune's been reporting on for the last several months that doesn't even seem to bubble up to the surface to be a topic for the mayoral candidates, which just baffles me. Additionally baffling, in the context of K through 12 education in Chicago, was the story that popped over the holidays. I think kind of got lost in the holidays. But there are models of education in Chicago that should be scaled. There are private schools and charter schools, even some selective enrollment schools, even some of the straight public schools, the neighborhood public schools that are doing it right and should be scaled. Unfortunately, they're an insular minority of the overall schools, in my estimation, and based on the data, which informs my estimation. And so one of the ones that we have both always talked about that is a model that should be scaled based on performance, urban prep academies. And yet over the holidays, we find that Urban Prep West had its charter revoked by CPS. And these are campuses that educate at the high school level black men, black boys to become black men and go on to success in life, 100% college acceptance rate. So what's up? Well, to help us understand what's going on the ground, we're pleased to be joined by Tim King, founder of Urban Prep Academies. Tim, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Hi, Amy.
So what is the story with Urban Prep and CPS and the campus they're closing?
Yeah, so many people don't understand this, but as you alluded to in the intro, there are several types of Chicago public schools, and there are selective enrollment schools and magnet schools and neighborhood schools. And there are also charter schools. So charter schools typically in Chicago fall under the Chicago Public Schools umbrella. And our three campuses, we have one in Inglewood, one in Bronzeville, and the other on the near west side of the city, fall under the auspices of the Chicago Public Schools. So we are Chicago Public School charter schools, so independently operated, publicly funded, and authorized by CPS. And our West Campus was the charter for our West Campus, as you mentioned, on December 5th, was revoked. And the reason it was revoked was because CPS has a policy that if you are a charter school and you are a level 2 school for 3 years in a row, you are revoked. So it's just a policy they have. Now, interestingly, it's a policy that does not apply to other types of schools. Yeah. And as you also mentioned, there are myriad schools that are super high performing in the district, and there are others that aren't doing so well. And there are many schools that are level 2, level 3 for years and years and years and years and continue to operate. But charter schools are in this kind of special category, and the West Campus fell into that category. So the good news is there's a path forward, and we are appealing to the Illinois State Charter School Commission, and they will make a decision on our appeal the middle of next month.
If you have a 100% graduation rate, why were you a level 2 school?
Yeah, so we have a 100% college acceptance rate, and one of the issues, and I'll mention this, another interesting thing is, according to the CPS, the West Campus is a level 2 school. According to the state of Illinois, the West Campus has the second highest rating you can get in the state. So there's some discrepancy there between how the district evaluates schools and how the state evaluates schools. But really what it boils down to for us is, unfortunately, Urban Prep is caught between a rock and a hard place because we educate a specific population, and it happens to be the poorest performing population in the district. And, so African American males is our concentration and focus. 90% of our students are low income. Almost 30% have special education needs and IEPs, and all of them are African American males. And when you look at data for African American males in general in CPS, it's pretty abysmal, which is why we started the schools in the first place. We're knocking it out the park with the student population, but when you compare a student population, that is performing poorly overall in the city to everyone in the city, including, students at magnet schools and selection enrollment schools, they're going to come out looking, not looking great.
Well, so, what is really going on here is, we see this with CPS instigating a strike, a teacher strike, and some other charter schools in the city. And by the way, this is a conversation in the mayoral race, which is whether or not to have a moratorium on charter schools, whether or not to, frankly, go after charter schools. Is what's happening to you, do you think, does it have something to do with an ideological opposition to charter schools existing at all?
I certainly think that there is a shift in the way people, some folks, are thinking in our city as it relates to how to best move forward our education system. And there was a period of time when I think in our city, charter schools were considered to be a solution. I think that has changed, even though charter schools have time and time again, in Urban Prep included, demonstrated tremendous growth and tremendous progress. So I think there has been a shift. Many of the mayoral candidates have, as you just indicated, have said, a moratorium on charter schools, on new charter schools. But they've also said they don't want schools closing. And the real travesty here, as it relates to Urban Prep West, is you're taking a school that has had a 100% college acceptance rate, that has dealt with the trauma of this particular population. 29 of our students have been shot, 14 killed over the course of, since we were founded. And we have programs and systems in place in our schools to help these kids. So there's a political issue here as it relates to charter schools, but I think people are missing the real work that's happening inside these schools. And we really shouldn't be focused on the type of school. We should really be focused on whether or not these schools are serving the kids that are walking in their doors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
so when do you think this whole process will be resolved?
So we submitted our appeal to the state in the beginning of January. So, you mentioned that this story kind of got lost in the holidays. We were spending the entire holidays working on this appeal, which was hundreds of pages of documentation and evidence that we submitted to the state. And we had a public hearing. They held a public hearing just earlier this week, and it was, packed house. There were so many people at this public hearing that there were actually folks lined up outside in the hallway and outside the building trying to get in. Hundreds of parents, teachers, students speaking on behalf of Urban Prep. And in fact, all the speakers, 3 hours worth of testimony, and there wasn't everyone was in support of Urban Prep West. There wasn't a single person that stood up there and said that the school should close. So that was an important part of the process. And then the Illinois State Charter School Commission will vote in the middle of March. So between now and the middle of March, we're continuing to spread the word and let people know. We have a website set up, keepupwest.org, where people can learn more about the issue, can see the facts about our success, see what our students are doing, see why the school is an integral, important part of the Chicago community, of the west side of the city of Chicago, and can figure out ways, and they can also identify ways to help support the cause, whether that be by writing a letter of support or just staying informed, financially supporting the schools, helping students, anything along those lines.
Keepupwest.org is the website, you said?
Yes.
Keep Up West Side. I mean, just on a personal note, I mean, Amy and I both know you and know the school a little bit, and have gotten to know some of the students through some of the events that we've attended for Urban Prep. I mean, this is insane. This is to close the school or any of the campuses. And this is something where you have a conservative like me, you've got a lefty like Ali Giannoulis that supports the school. And I mean, it's across partisan lines and everything just because of what Tim said. The work product, the kids you see coming out of Urban Prep that you see at their fundraising events and so forth. I mean, that a school like this would close with all of the problems in Chicago, violence related and K through 12 related, would be closed, not closed, would be closed by the powers that be. Insanity. So this is something for not just city folks, but suburbanites to talk to your legislators to make sure that they're watching what that Illinois Charter School Commission does to right the wrong that was done at the local level, in my estimation. He is Tim King. He's the founder of Urban Prep Academies. Tim, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck with that vote.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you having me on and talking about this very important issue, which, you know, as you said, really impacts the entire city of Chicago. Amy, thank you very much, and thanks for all of your support of our work over the years.
Of course.
God bless you. And
Take
Tim
care.
King joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Highland Park Ford Lincoln's